SEO is one of those topics that people say it's a scam, it doesn't work, you're going to lose your money, and I'm here to tell you it's true, despite what you might think, and we're going to go through that. My intention here is to help you, bring value to you by proving to you that there are methods of doing the right things and building a business online, or growing your offline business online. However, if you're not careful, you could fall into that trap of losing your shirt. Is that fair? Okay. By a show of hands, how many of you guys, you gotta understand, you're eating, and I'm one of those people who have just I have to have eye contact with you, so I'm gonna kind of call you out once in a while to make sure you're awake, you have a pulse, you're with me. Food looks delicious, I didn't have any, so I'm kind of jealous up here, and I wanna make sure I distract you from your food. How many of you have a business website, by a show of hands? Okay, those of you who don't, I don't know why. Just think about it and see if there's a real reason why you don't have a business website. So for those of you who do have a business site, by a show of hands, how many of you know the type of traffic you get on that website? Okay, good. And then out of the ones that know that what type of traffic you get, are you getting enough traffic? By a show of hands. No one. Okay, and this is, by the way, if there was 1,000 people in this room, they would still say the same thing. Nobody ever believes that they get enough traffic, and that's good, because we're always trying to grow our business, make it bigger, and grow further, and make money as a result. So what I want to do today is I want to go over what SEO is, sort of a brief history of how it developed, where it's gotten us today, why it doesn't work at the moment with some of the things that people are doing, and what you need to be careful of so you don't lose your shirt like we talked about, and then give you a methodology. Now, I only have, I think, 20 minutes or something like that. I'm going to be watching Mike to make sure he doesn't shoot me from the back of the room. Hopefully I can leave some time for questions if any of you have questions. My name is Jamak Golshani. I'm from Katana Marketing Consulting. For those of you who don't know, katana is the name of the Japanese sword. I am an avid martial artist, and to me, a katana is sharp, it's cutting edge, and it's a sign for integrity. You look it up with old samurais and things that they used to do. That's why that name is there. So let's talk about SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Simply put, it means doing the right things to get your website or whatever web property you own to rank high on the search engines. There are multiple players in the search engine arena. You've got Yahoo, Bing, Google. We're only going to focus on Google today because they own the market share. Okay, the cool thing about that is if we figure things out with Google, we will get the traffic from the other search engines as well. So we're only focusing on Google for the time being. So a long time ago when Google, well, not that long ago I guess, but when Google started working, they were just getting a record of every website that was out there. There is this piece of code running around called the spider, and it's not going to bite you unless you do the right thing, wrong thing. And it crawls through your website to figure out what the website is about. It looks for certain factors and then decides whether or not you should be ranked high on their search results page. The mission of Google is to serve you search results as quickly as they possibly can. They want to send you to the page that you're looking for. Valentine's Day is coming up, right? Gentlemen, are you ready? What, did I just remind you that it was tomorrow? So, let's say you want to buy some flowers, right? You go to Google and you search flowers. You don't want to see results that have to do about, what it takes to grow flowers and stuff like that. You want the flower shop next door that you can order some flowers, stop on your way home, pick up the flowers and take it, right? Well, that's the business Google is in. That's the business they're in. Their success, they measure their success by how well they can guess what you're thinking and serve you the results. An SEO consultant, and that's not me, by the way, as you'll learn a little bit later, or SEO firms, traditional SEO firms, have their mission is exactly the opposite of what Google's mission is. Their mission is to manufacture search results. So Google wants to serve you authentic search results for what's really important, but as an SEO consultant, they would want to serve you manufactured results based on what the client has paid, right? So back when this all started, they said it's easy. We're going to look at how many people are voting for your website. The way they do that is they count the links from other websites to your website. It's called backlinking. That's the terminology. So if you had 10,000 links, and we were competing for the SERM search words, if you had 10,000 links and I had 5, I'd lose. You rank higher. Very simple, right? Then after a while, they thought, well, that's not right. You know, not all links are created equally. If you get a link from, Stanford, it has more value than a website that came up online yesterday, right? That makes sense, right? So what they did is they put in place this thing called PageRank. It's a gauge from 0 to 10. Websites like Facebook, Google, YouTube, some of the government websites are PageRank 10. And then you've got websites that just come off the ground, and those are PageRank 0. So if you had a link that was from a PageRank 1 website, that counted for a lot less than a PageRank 10 link. Does that make sense? No? Some people confused? Okay, so that vote basically is more important, it's more significant. SEO companies would charge you more money for a higher PageRank link. Those days are over now, to some extent, not completely. But what Google has started to do is they've started to crack down on what they call spammy websites. Now, spammy website doesn't mean they're sending you junk. What it means in terms of Google is the links that are from those websites are not legitimate links. They've discovered that these websites have given permission to SEO consultants to link to other websites, okay? They've gotten pretty good at starting to capture those websites. Their database is growing on a daily basis. Now, their practice, in my opinion, is a little bit unfair, and they need to refine that. But basically what they're doing now is they're saying, even if you have one link from one of these websites, we're gonna slap you. And it's literally called the Google slap. So what happens is you wake up one morning and all of a sudden you've gone from rank 2 on the first page of Google to page 30. And you go, what happened? And if your business is based on the internet and internet traffic that you're getting, your traffic just went from whatever it was to 0. There's a tool called Google Webmaster tool. And you can Google that and you'll see it. It's free. You can log in. You have to have it linked to your website. Once it's linked to your website, it's going to give you all kinds of information. One of the pieces of information that's available to you is who is linking to you. Okay, remember all those websites that we talked about? It tells you who is linking to you. Now that's very, very important. Now they've gone a step further than that, and they're telling you what they think is a spammy link. So you receive a letter from Google, and this is real. You receive a letter from Google telling you that we've detected you have spam. By the way, anybody in this room that has experienced this? Awesome, this is great. You have, yeah, you would know. If you've experienced it, you would know. You get a letter from Google that says you need to remove these links before we rank you again. And that's a dangerous letter to get. But basically, to remove that in a very simple way, you have to go find those links and remove them. That's almost impossible to do if you've ever hired somebody to build links for you, because the majority of the time, the SEO teams hire people in India, in Bangladesh, the Philippines, wherever they can find cheap workers, and they build backlinks to your websites. Trying to remove those links without having access to their logins and passwords and stuff is almost impossible. I've had multiple clients for whom it was cheaper for us to go get a brand new domain name and start from scratch. Their entire branding, all the work they did for the years that they built this was gone. Why? Just because they looked at the easy way of making money. And if I can make one point here today, and if I can leave you, if you don't get anything else out of this talk, just this one thing, that if somebody walks up to you today and says, I have this business opportunity for you, you and I together are going to make $1 million by the end of next week, would you believe them? No. I hope not, right? This is the same thing. If somebody comes to you and says, I'm going to beat Google, I'm that good that I'm going to beat Google. Even if they are today, I guarantee you Google has more resources and they'll catch up. Simple. I just want that point to be driven home, right? So let's shift gears and talk about what the right way is, at least my approach. What is the right way of doing this? What is the right way of marketing online? Your focus, in my opinion, should be on building a responsive audience. Rather than worrying about where you are on the Google page and all this stuff, your focus should be on 1 at a time, 100 at a time, however many. That depends on your strength and your messaging and everything, and the methods you use to do it, which hopefully we'll get a chance to touch on a little bit today. But your focus should be primarily on building an audience. Not just any audience, an audience that needs your solution and is a responsive audience. And then you take care of that audience. So let's touch on that a little bit. I had this really nice slideshow that I wanted to show you guys. I put these slides together, but then, you know, unfortunately I have to leave right after this talk, and I didn't have time to break everything down. So maybe another time we'll come back up and show you the cool slides. But I put together a number of steps that you can follow, a step-by-step process for you to start building this. Now you gotta understand, I only have about 10 minutes to go through this. So it's gonna be high level, it's gonna be from 30,000 feet, but I really hope that it will give you enough of an insight to go, okay, this is where I am, and this is where I need to get to, how can I do it? And you can figure the rest out. So the very first step is for you to think about what you have to offer. There's a lot of great professionals in this room, and I know you come from a place of passion and your heart. You want to serve people. But what you got to do is you got to refine what it is that you're selling. Your service, your product, however many you have, you need to really be focused on what it is that you're selling. In other words, what is that solution that you're offering people? Write it down. Think about it. Ponder on it. Don't just be because, you know, the company I work with, or if it's purely your own company, this is my product, that's what I'm selling. You need to really think about that and start taking some notes on that, ponder on it. The next step is think about who you're serving with that solution. So there's a group of people in the world that really need the solution that you have. That product or service is a solution to a problem, to a challenge that a certain group of people have. The more refined you can make that group of people in terms of their characteristics, the more successful you will be online, or I would say any other place in your marketing. If you're thinking right now, my product is for everybody, it can help everybody, I'm not going to argue with that, because obviously you have so much passion and so much belief in your product that you would make that statement. But may I suggest that you don't have the resources, the time and the money to market to the entire world. I think you would agree with me there. So select a sector, select a market segment, and go after those people. How you do that, that's a different question, different talk, and you know, you can definitely, there are people who are experts in that can help you with that, right? But once you do that, I have a process called refining your customer avatar. Different people call it different things. So what you need to do is you need to really study who your client is. You need to go further than, are they male, female? Are they, you know, younger, older? What age group are they? Where do they live? That is basic demographics. What I'm suggesting is you go beyond that and you study the psychology, the psyche of your client. What do they think about? What do they talk about when they're among friends? What are the pains that they have? What are the things that they want to accomplish in their life that maybe they haven't had a chance to? You know, think about those things. What is it that keeps them up at night? When you think about these things, you're starting to understand your audience at times better than they understand themselves, and that's where you want to get to. Have you ever watched a video of somebody online that they're talking, they're doing, they're going through their thing, and you go, how does he know that? Have you ever, anybody had that experience? I have, multiple times. It's because that marketer, that salesperson, however you want to label them, they have studied their audience so much that you immediately know this is for me. And what it also does, it turns off the person who they don't want, right? It immediately turns them off, right? So for example, if I'm selling something that is $50,000, right? If I start my messaging by saying, I know you have $50,000 and you'd like to invest in that. If you have 40, you will have walked away from that. And that's exactly what I want. I don't want my marketing resources to be spent on somebody who can't afford it. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So that's the second step. The second step is to identify that target audience, understand them, understand what makes them tick. The third step is to put together your storefront. Now, we're talking about online, so this is your website, right? You need to, based on the information that you studied, based on finding out who your audience is and what it is they react to, you need to put together your website with that mindset. You need to know ahead of time what it is exactly that you would like them to do on that website. It's just like any other piece of your business. If you don't know why you need an employee in your business, what do you want them to do, you probably don't need them. You need to first understand what it is exactly that you want to come out of that effort. So having your website without a purpose, without a strategy, without knowing exactly what it is that you want it to do is useless. You're paying for hosting, and that's probably the least of your expenses, right? So there's, again, this is a whole new topic that we could spend hours talking about, and I could teach you courses on this. But the one thing I want to leave you with in terms of your website is have a way for people to put their hand up and say, I'm interested in what you have to say. Okay? In our world, we call that lead generation. But it basically means don't be spammy. Don't say, give me your email address and I'm going to send you in my newsletter. Well, I don't care about your newsletter. In all honesty, I don't know what's on your newsletter. But if you've studied me and you know exactly what it is that I need, and your messaging there says, I know this is what you're suffering from. I know this is going to make your life better. And guess what? I've put together a free solution that you can take advantage of. Whatever it may be. If you're selling products, maybe you're sending them samples of something. If it's information that you're marketing and selling, it's the solution that you have, and you give them a bite-sized piece for them to chew on and get an experience, right? So that's at least have that on your website, plus all the other things that you need to have on there. In terms of SEO, there are two things that are very important. One is called on-page factors. Counts for about 20% of your ranking. The other thing is off-page factors, 80%. So traditionally, like I said, the 80% was link building, and that's why people were happy just throwing links at the website and ranking, and they would celebrate. The on-page factors are still have the same importance, but they're still important. What it is basically the tags that you have on your website, and you can Google meta tags along with SEO, and there'll be enough on there that could help you. Basically, you want to make sure your title tags, description tags, keywords, and all of those are in place. What that basically means is once the Google spider is on your website, crawling your website, we want them to know what it is you do, right? We want to tell the spider what it is that we are doing on that website. What is the intention, right? So there's some methodology around that you can learn. And then the off-page factors is, I told you what not to do. So if somebody comes to you and says, I can build you 2,000 links with $1,000 a month, run. That's my suggestion, at least. There may be people in the room that disagree with me. So once you've done that, once you've got your website in place, the next step is sending traffic to that website. There are two general ways you can generate traffic. One is paid, and the other one is sort of quote-unquote free, which I don't really think it's free because you're still either paying somebody to do it or you put your time and resources in there to make it happen. Let's talk about the paid traffic first. Pay-per-click advertising, I think, is one of the best things that ever happened to business owners. Some of you might think it's expensive, but the cost of not doing it is more than... Did I say that there? The cost of not doing it is more. Okay? So Google pay-per-click advertising. If you want Google's traffic, why not pay them for it instead of paying somebody else to manipulate search results? Right? Pay them for the traffic that they're going to send you. Now, I'm not suggesting it's as easy as you just suggest a bet in there and then start running. They'll take all of the money you'll give them and they're not seeing any results. You got to measure everything. You got to know what you're doing. There's always that caveat that you have to be at least a semi-knowledgeable person about what you're doing as you're going in there. But I say it's very powerful because you have numbers, you have statistics in terms of how many people have looked at that, how many people have clicked on it, how many people have interacted with it, what happened on the website with that traffic. Maybe you're after the wrong keywords, who knows? Numbers will show you exactly what's happening. Now in our company, with our clients, we've seen a lot of very, very positive results lately with Facebook advertising. Facebook advertising today is very inexpensive. It might not last that long, but at the moment it's very inexpensive. We can get clicks. But again, you need to know what you're doing. The worst thing that I think Facebook did for people is they put a little button under each post that says promote. You click on that thing, you give them your credit card number, and you're advertising basically. But you're losing money. You gotta, everything that I told you up until now about studying your clients, it all applies. Your messaging is very important. When you sit down to write copy, that copy needs to reflect who you're marketing to. I believe Sam talked here, didn't he? Samuel Mitaro, if you guys are familiar with him, here's a plug for you, Sam. He's great, and that's what he does. You do your market, and any other copywriter that's any good, you do your market research, you understand your client, you understand your competition, you understand what makes them tick, and then you write your copy based on that. That's why when you do that, the people who you don't want to click on that ad won't click on it, right? Only the people who you want will click on it. Social media is the other major way of advertising that I said is quote-unquote free. With social media, what you need to be careful with is, again, you do not want to be spamming people. You don't want to constantly say, here's my product, here's my new promotion, here's what you can buy from me this week, which unfortunately is something a lot of people are doing, and I don't understand why to this day, right? It's very social. You got to be on there, you got to help people. And again, go back to the study that you did in terms of your market research, your customer avatar, to figure out what it is that you need to put in front of them and have them show you a reaction and be interactive with them. Again, social media marketing is a very, very vast topic, and I just wanted to touch on this for you a little bit so you get a bit of a picture. So what happens next? If you've done everything, you've driven traffic to your website, you had a mechanism for them to opt in, for them to say, yes, I love you, I want to spend more time with you. What do you do next, right? Does it all end there? Do you sell them your product and you walk away?
No, you would upsell them.
You upsell them?
Bigger package.
So my thought on that is you're building your tribe. You're building your community. That list that you spent so much time and money in creating, that is your retirement. I have seen friends, colleagues of mine make more money with 5 emails than some of us spend our entire life working towards. It's because of the relationship they've they've built with that community, because of the tribe, the selectiveness of the tribe that they've put together. And the mission becomes to serve that tribe, to study them, to see what it is that they need. It's no longer about what it is that I want to sell. It's more about what it is that my tribe wants. What is the next step for them? What is it that, you know, they've consumed your product, they've consumed your service, you've enhanced their lives in one way or the other. What more can you do? And they'll tell you that. If you're interacting with your community, with your tribe, they will tell you that. They will literally ask you for that next product. And I beg you to have the flexibility and to be heart-centered enough to recognize that, grab it, and run with it. And serve that community. Continue to serve that community. So, internet marketing is not about putting a promotion up there and trying to just get more people to buy on it and go. I think it is the biggest asset you have online. Your audience is global. Think about that. You can literally sell anything you want to lots and lots of people. I have a book coming out, and I wasn't planning on talking about this today at all, but the book is basically about how do you take that passion that you have and you put it out there in front of the right crowd, and you continue to help them with it. This last segment of my talk sort of alludes to that. That the methodology, the techniques, everything that's there, sure, it helps you. But having that purpose behind it, the purpose of being genuinely interested in helping others, I think is really, really significant. And if you come from that place, it doesn't matter if Google changes their algorithm tomorrow. I'm actually happy that they keep changing their algorithm, because the people who are really out there serving, they're winning. But we didn't have a chance before, because maybe you didn't have $1,000 a month to throw at an SEO consultant. Today you can put your own effort in there and rank high on Google. Now you might ask, well, okay, how do I rank high on Google even if I have this tribe? Very simple. Google, with the social world getting hot and hotter and hotter, Google now knows that the best way of counting people's vote is through social media. Does that make sense? Remember I told you about how you would rank high? It's by the number of votes you get. Those links used to be the votes, and then they said this vote matters less than this other vote. Now we're seeing a shift where they're going, okay, if you have people liking your posts, if you have people retweeting your tweets, and if you don't understand some of this terminology, it's okay. This is just maybe for some of the people in the room who are a little bit more advanced in this arena. You know, when somebody retweets something that you tweeted, they are building a natural link to whatever you're sending them to. That's a link. If you're counting links, that's a real, true link. And Google knows that. So they're giving more and more weight and value to those type of links. On your public Facebook page, and if you don't have a public Facebook page for your business, you should. On your public Facebook page, if you post something and people share it 10,000 times, they're building natural links back to your web property. So this idea of building your tribe, building a community that truly loves you and is responsive because you've continuously served them. When you put something out there, they want to share it because it's just so good. You've changed their lives. Think about it, right? How many times have you been out there and you watched a good movie and you couldn't wait to get home and tell everybody about it, right? So that's what my suggestion is. My suggestion is to focus on audience building, focus on creating your tribe, focus on serving and nourishing that tribe. And then your rankings will naturally be there. Do I have time for questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
I have a question.
Go for it.
The 80% off page. You said, I've told you what not to do. What should you do?
Okay, great question. So the 80% off page is basically the linking. It's people voting for you. which we just talked about, right? So your efforts, these are things that you are not able to do on your own website. It's dependent on everybody else. Imagine when you build your website, it's like an island. Nobody knows it exists. It's just out there. Linking is like building bridges to this island from other islands that are out there, right? Now, legitimately doing that today will win you points, the votes that we talked about. So the 80% is in building your tribe. You know, you have an email list, for example. Let's say your email list is 300 people, right? And you put an article up on your website that, because you understand your crowd, you know what it is they want. The article solves a problem that they have. You push that out to your email list, right? The people on your email list read this thing, you go, oh, I want my buddies to know about this. So they grab the link of the article, they put it on their Facebook, they put it on their Twitter, maybe they send it out to their email list if they have an email list. Email list could just be family members. But listen to how cool this is. That crowd that you have, your email list, there might be 2 or 3 of them that belong to my tribe. Does that make sense? Not all of them, to my tribe, right? So when you sent that traffic to my website, because my messaging is the right type of messaging, because I actually took the time to understand who belongs to this tribe, the ones that don't are automatically gone. But those 3 that I really, really wanted, those 3 people that I would give anything to meet, because I have a solution that they can run with and change their lives, they will become a part of my tribe. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question? Good. Another one? Yes.
When you were saying for getting people to join your website or
Tribe.
Yeah.
and you said forget about newsletters, yay. And do you recommend that we always offer something for free to get them to sign in, or is it better to offer a low cost something?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on your business model. It depends on who that crowd is and what they respond to. Sometimes giving something away for free is the wrong thing to do, depending on your crowd. Like I said, you have to study that market, right? So let's say you study that group of people and you figure out that in this particular industry, in this particular group, when they come across something that's free, they're completely turned off. They don't even pay any attention to it because they think there's no value in it.
How do you do that?
By studying them. So there's 2 things, okay? So you either know the people you're serving because you've been in that business with that particular market segment for a very, very long time, or you're new, right? If you've been with them for a long time, you know them inside out. You've had coffee with them. You've went to their weddings. You've went to their children's, birthdays and weddings, depending on how long you've been in business for, right? But if you're new, you don't know any of that. If you're new, you start doing research. You send surveys out for people to fill out. You sit down and make appointments with, let's say today I wanted to serve dentists, right? And I don't know any dentists. I would try and get appointments with them just to meet them and see what it is that they do. A lot of the information really is online. You just have to know how to look and where to go about it. But the point is the newsletter thing. I want to touch on that for a moment. I'm not suggesting newsletters are bad. I'm not suggesting that at all. It's better than nothing, okay? But email marketing in general, there is a process to it. There's strategy behind it, and it should tie into your overall strategy. Generating that lead, that newsletter, if you're offering a newsletter, all I'm saying is if you're getting 10% of your visitors opting in for your newsletter, if you offer them something that they really, really want, that 10% would go up to 30. That's what I'm saying. And then there should be continuous email sequences that go out to kind of check out who you are and build that relationship. But again, that's a whole topic around email marketing that we don't have time for today.
You were talking about using social media like Facebook, and you were saying don't do spammy posts or like say, this is the deal of the day. Do you recommend anything, like what kind of strategy would you use? Like what kind of ways would you update your status that's not spammy and annoying?
Okay, great. Another great question. So you'll hear this from me again. It's not a cookie cutter thing. I can't give you one answer that applies to everybody who's sitting here. It's going to be dependent on who you're trying to attract to yourself, for sure. But what I can say is this, and this is a statement that I can make for everybody. If you're constantly saying the same old thing over and over and over again, you turn people off. They don't even, if they're savvy enough, they'll go and block you, and you won't know it. They just, your post will never show up in their news feed at all. If they're savvy, they'll do that. I do that to people all the time, right? The flip side is, because you've done your work again, you know who it is that you're trying to attract. You put things out there that just hits home for them. But here's the thing that I said I can say across the board: be conversational, ask questions, get into things that would prompt a discussion, and we all know how to do that. We're here. I'm talking to a group of networkers. Social media is no different. It's just the means is different, right? The environment is different. If I got up here today and I said, oh, I have this and that product and all that, you would throw me out. That's number one, and then you guys would be completely turned off, right? So to answer your question is, find what it is they want and then make it conversational. Make it into a thing. Like you say, okay, I saw this thing online, it was really cool. Somebody told a story that was amazing, right? You find that and you say, check this out. I really like how they drove the story home. What are your thoughts, right? So first of all, if I'm somebody who enjoys stories, I'm grateful to you because you shared a story with me. Number one, you scored 1 point, right? Number two, you asked me what my thoughts are. Most people love to give their opinions. Most people, right? So that's another score. You earn another point, right? And once they start that conversation with you, now they get to know you, okay? Let me take it one step further than that, and then I'll stop with your question. If you've built, so another thing that's important, again, one of the things we don't have time for is content generation, right? So you should constantly be putting good content out there based on the tribe that you discovered and you work with, right? Now, let's say that and I'm going to go with what you do because I know what you do, you told me. Let's say I want to learn how to tell stories, okay? And I come to these things and, I come across your page and, there's so much stuff on there, great stuff. Maybe what you figured out is people really like to learn the bits and pieces to put it together, right? Maybe you did an article on how to open a story. What's the first sentence? I always struggle. How do I start that first sentence of starting the story? Because the rest of it kind of flows, but what about that first sentence, right? Let's say you did a video or you wrote an article on just that. The 5 steps to follow when you want to do your first line of your story, right? Then you had that post on Facebook that we just talked about. Somebody interacted with you and said, you know what, Gina, that was really cool, but I always struggle with that first sentence. Then you say, oh, I wrote something about that. Here's the link. Now you sent them to your website. They read your content and they go, oh my God, this lady is really cool. And then you have your opt-in, your offer or whatever it is, the free offer, or whatever you want to call it. Some may charge for it on there. That says, here's the gift I have for you. Because they already read that article, chances are they will opt in. Now they're on your mailing list. So now
might offer them my class.
That's right. So you no longer have to count on them being on Facebook and accidentally seeing your message. The next time you write something, it goes directly to their inbox. Hopefully I've answered that. It's 1:20, Mike. Am I?
We're running a little late. Do you want it to keep going?
I have a question.
Yeah. Okay, one more question.
Okay. Scott.
No, I don't.
Okay, tell me.
What you talked about searching for what other people are interested in, but I know you well enough that some of it is actually finding what you're passionate about and finding the right audience for your story.
Right.
How do you?
Right. Okay, so because Scott knows me, he's bringing up a subject that's a little outside of what we talked about, but I think there's great value in that. I think there's a lot of times that we're in professions that we don't like. We're kind of stuck in that because that's where our maybe skill set is. That's where our we've just been raised that way. You know, our education wasn't that, and we can't do anything. I think that's a huge cause of unhappiness and sadness out there in the world, in our world today. So what he's talking about is what my book is about. Basically, you got to discover what that passion is. What is it that you were put on this planet to do? What is that line of service that you're here to go with and run with? Because I believe that all of us are here on this planet to serve in one way or another. Our method of service is just a little bit different, right? So what he's asking is, I know what my passion is. I know what it is that I need to be doing based on the philosophy that we just talked about. Let's say you've gone the step to discover that. But how do you know who the right audience is? Because we talked about that, right? Well, experience has proved to me that the audience will present itself. When you put your messaging out there, it's like a magnet. It really is magnetic. When you put yourself out there, when you put your passion out there, when you're heart-centered, the people who need to hear your message are attracted to you. They come to you, they flock to you. And then you just need a few of them before they tell their friends about it. Because in most cases, those people have friends in their social circles that also need your message. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Mike.